Right now, somewhere in your house, your AC unit is quietly draining about $200 to $270 a month out of your wallet. That's not a guess. That's the EIA's own data on what the average American household pays to stay cool every summer. Now look at this. A honeycomb pad, a tiny 12-volt water pump, a small fan, and one little solar panel sitting outside. No battery, no wires running into your house, no bill. The sun comes up, the system turns on. The sun goes down, it turns off. That's it. And by the end of this video, I'm going to show you exactly why this barely costs anything to run and why almost nobody talks about it. Quick question before we go further. If your AC bill this summer was $0, would you actually trust a system that has no battery at all? Type yes or no in the comments. I want to see how many of you are team battery versus team no battery. So here's the question nobody really asks. If this thing works, why isn't it everywhere? Well, think about who actually benefits when your AC runs nonstop. According to the Energy Information Administration, air conditioning makes up about 19% of all the electricity used in American homes every single year. That's not a small slice. That's a massive, steady, predictable stream of monthly payments flowing straight into the utility companies every single summer, for as long as you own that house. Now, compare that to a solar-powered honeycomb cooler. Once it's built, there's no monthly bill, no recurring charge, no subscription. The sun does the work for free. And that's exactly the problem, from a business standpoint. There's no incentive for anyone to advertise a solution that doesn't make anybody money after the first purchase. I want to be clear here. This isn't some secret conspiracy where executives are sitting in a room trying to hide this from you. It's simpler than that. Nobody spends marketing dollars promoting something that can't generate repeat revenue. So a 4,000-year-old cooling principle just quietly sits in the background while billion-dollar HVAC companies spend their budgets pushing units that need power, maintenance, and replacement parts. Let's go back, way back. Around 2500 BC, ancient Egyptian wall paintings show servants fanning porous clay jars filled with Nile River water. As the air moved across that wet surface, it cooled down noticeably before entering the home. Egyptians also hung wet reeds and damp cloth across doorways and windows for the exact same reason. When wind passed through that wet material, the air on the other side came out cooler. Then there's Persia. In the desert city of Yazd, ancient builders constructed tall towers called Windcatchers, or Badgir in Persian. These structures caught prevailing wind from the outside, pulled it down through the building, and in many cases ran it past water systems first to cool it even further before it reached people inside. Some of these towers are still standing today, thousands of years later, in a region known for some of the harshest desert heat on the planet. Here's the part that matters. These weren't decorations. They were functioning cooling systems, built without a single watt of electricity, using nothing but airflow and water evaporation. The exact same physics inside that honeycomb wall in front of you right now. So, when people say this sounds too simple to actually work, history says otherwise. This principle has been keeping people cool for roughly 4,500 years. We didn't invent it. We just figured out how to power it with a solar panel instead of a slave fanning a clay pot in the Egyptian sun. Okay, let's break down the actual mechanism, because this is where it gets satisfying. Water needs energy to evaporate. That energy has to come from somewhere, and it pulls that energy directly out of the surrounding air in the form of heat. It's the exact same reason sweat cools your body. Your skin gets warm, sweat evaporates off the surface, and that evaporation process steals heat away from you, leaving you feeling cooler. Now scale that up. The honeycomb pad is made from a material that holds water across a huge surface area without dripping everywhere. A small 12-volt water pump continuously wets that pad. A fan pulls hot outside air through the wet honeycomb structure. As the water evaporates off that pad, it rips heat right out of the air passing through it. What comes out the other side is air that's measurably cooler, in some documented setups by 25 to 30 degrees Fahrenheit compared to the outside temperature based on data from real-world evaporative cooling builds. Here's why the solar panel part isn't some gimmick. According to a detailed breakdown from builditsolar.com, a compact 12-volt evaporative cooling system, fan, pump, and all, draws around 18 watts total. 18 watts is nothing. A small 20 to 30 watt solar panel comfortably covers that load in direct sunlight with room to spare. That's why this setup doesn't need a battery bank or an inverter. It's not storing energy for later. It's just using power the moment the sun provides it, which lines up perfectly with the moment you actually need cooling, which is during the day, when the sun is out and it's hot. No grid connection, no moving parts beyond a tiny fan and a tiny pump, no refrigerant, just water, airflow, and basic physics doing what it's done since ancient Egypt. Let's talk about the bigger picture for a second. Air conditioning accounts for somewhere around 50% of total electricity use in American homes during peak summer months, according to EIA seasonal data. That's an enormous chunk of the power grid dedicated to one single task: cooling indoor air. Utility companies build their entire summer revenue model around that demand spike. A system like this doesn't threaten to replace all of that overnight, but it does chip away at it, household by household, especially in regions where it works well. Every Honeycomb cooler running off free solar power is one less air conditioner running up a meter. I'm not going to pretend there's a boardroom somewhere plotting against backyard evaporative coolers. That would be giving this too much credit. The real reason this stays under the radar is more boring than a conspiracy. There's just no profit motive in teaching people how to build something that costs them money once and then runs for free. Now I need to be straight with you, because I'd rather you trust this information than get excited about something that doesn't fit your situation. This system will not replace your air conditioner everywhere. Evaporative cooling depends on dry air to work well. The drier the climate, the more effective it is, because the air has more capacity to absorb that evaporated moisture. In places like Arizona, Nevada, or inland California, this thing can be genuinely powerful. But if you live somewhere humid, like Florida, Houston, or most of the Southeast, this is not going to give you the same results. In high humidity, the air is already saturated with moisture, so evaporation slows down dramatically, and instead of cooling the air, you can actually end up making it feel more sticky and uncomfortable. This is exactly why. According to EIA residential survey data, evaporative coolers are only used in about 2% of American households nationwide, concentrated almost entirely in dry, arid states in the Southwest. It's not a flaw I'm hiding from you. That's the honest, documented limitation of the technology, and it's the same limitation people in the Sahara and ancient Persia dealt with thousands of years ago. Dry air, big results. Humid air, limited results. If you're in a dry climate, this is one of the most cost-effective cooling methods available. If you're not, this is more of a supplemental tool than a full replacement. So if you're in that dry climate category, here's roughly what you're working with. A Honeycomb evaporative cooling pad, the same material used in commercial swamp coolers, is widely available through HVAC supply stores and online retailers. A small 12-volt submersible water pump, similar to what's used in fountains or ponds, typically draws somewhere between 5 and 12 watts. A small 12-volt fan handles the airflow, and a basic 20 to 30 watt solar panel powers the whole thing directly, no battery required. Wire the pump and fan straight to the panel's output. During daylight hours, the panel generates enough current to run both simultaneously. The pump keeps the Honeycomb pad saturated, the fan pulls air through it, and cooler air comes out the other side. When the sun goes down, the system simply stops, which is fine because that's also typically when outdoor temperatures drop anyway. It's a closed loop of cause and effect. More sun means more power, which means a stronger fan and pump, which means more evaporation, which means more cooling. The system scales itself automatically based on how intense the heat actually is that day. Here's the lesson underneath all of this. The most efficient solution isn't always the newest one. Sometimes it's a 4,500-year-old principle that just needed one modern part, a small solar panel, to become fully self-sufficient. Before you spend money on cooling anything, the first question shouldn't be what's the newest technology. It should be what's the actual climate I'm dealing with, because that single factor determines whether a solution like this works brilliantly or barely at all. That's a piece of practical knowledge you can actually use, not just a fun fact. Check your regional humidity averages before investing in any evaporative system, residential or DIY. It takes 5 minutes, and it tells you immediately whether you're a good candidate for this kind of setup. We didn't need a breakthrough invention to solve this. We needed someone to look at what the Egyptians and the Persians already figured out thousands of years ago and just hand it a solar panel. Sometimes the answer isn't ahead of us. It's already behind us, waiting to be reconnected to something modern. If this changed the way you think about how you spend money cooling your own home, that's exactly the kind of thing this channel is built around. Subscribe if you want more of this. Real mechanisms, real history, real numbers, no fluff.